So we're ready to get back into this game, I believe. So we are 1-1 between the Sandfraggers and Morph Black. It's been a great start to this Open Division playoffs here in the Australian division. And Cyberways, what can we expect? It looks like we're going to Hanamura for the third map. It's really looking like it's going to be anyone's game.
You could basically toss a coin now because of what we've seen, and it is Hanamura which will be chosen next, and it could be the age old template for a Hanamura attack or defense. Where either we'll see a long, basically an endless war of attrition where they just keep rolling over each other, or we could just see a defensive showcase on both sides. That will remain to be seen. But I'm just looking forward to Hanamura, especially with newer heroes and newer compositions, which will be put on display and put to the test.
Yeah, we've seen a few interesting kind of developments over the course of the past month or so, especially on Hanamura. With, as we were talking about, sometimes you get the matches where teams just roll over each other. You get to about 6 points each, and the scoreboard just keeps on ticking over time after time. Or you get held like for about an hour. You're just running into a brick wall time after time, and even regardless of how much time you have, you just can't really crack that night, especially point B. It can be real tough at times, and it's essentially the dichotomy of this kind of map. But I'm interested to see how this one goes, especially with how these past two maps have been.
Yes, indeed, we're definitely tied at 1, and now we like I said, right the outbreak of this map, we don't know what'll happen next. You can basically balance this entire match on a knife edge because of how tight it's been.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see what kind of compositions are going to come out, because we saw on the first map on Nepal, we saw Lemons for me for the Sandfraggers having an affinity for the Mei. Similarly, here on this first point, you can use that Mei to split apart the attacking side and try and pick them apart before they can really get anything set up. I'm interested to see if they are going to go with another similar composition to really throw a wrench into the plans of Morph Black, or if they're going to play a little bit more standard.
Perhaps, and I see with the lineups coming to light, I'm seeing Lemons for me already keen to cool things down a little bit and is on the Mei, but we'll wait and see, because like you said, it is a very viable strategy, especially on first, because there's 2 core placements for the wall to really make the defense just sort of sweat a little bit. And we'll have to see how Lemons for me is used, and the rest of the cohorts as well for the Sandfraggers, who will be defending, and your attackers will be the members of MAWF Black, and looks like Gel will be on the scouting duties.
Yeah, just trying to get a bit of an idea of what the composition is going to be coming at them. Does get a bit of a look, and then switches back over to the Zenyatta. They're going for a little bit more of the dive composition. They don't have the Genji that they had when they were playing it on Nepal. But the good thing about this is that they can just completely circumvent this Mei and the splitting up of the composition. But trapped in a room with the Mei doesn't sound like a lot of fun. The Winston and the Mei just trying to duke it out, but Lemons for me gets help from the team and doesn't manage to take down Frosty Heart. But meanwhile, at the front gate, Blur is just having a field day with the rest of this defense, picking up a couple of members, and it looks like they are going to be able to maintain control of this part of the map
for the time being. But Jasper Jam and Dio are slowly grinding away at the Sandfraggers defense. Psycho does get the Wonder Applier, but Dio, Jasper Jam, and the Tracer were able to just basically turn the entire defense to dust, make it all a blur for them, and that will be the first point going to Morph Black, and they will have around, I think it's 6 minutes and 45. Yes, indeed. And well, if they keep this up, because the members of Sandfraggers, they have barely anything to bear. They've entirely reset.
Yeah, they are switching composition left, right, and center as Jasper DM gets slept. As the Widow just sitting there at the front door. and does get taken down finally. And one thing to note is that yes, that is a very, very healthy time bank that they can be working with, but we've seen it time and time again. Sure, you can have that 6-minute time bank, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to take point B on Hanamura. They have to really put in the hard yards if they want to get the second point.
And it looks like the call has been made for the members of MAWF Black to switch over. We see Frosty Heart go into the Reinhardt and Blur going to the Brigitte. So we are seeing the tried and true bleating heart of the Overwatch landscape. And that is a huge wall there from Lemons for me, just shutting off this narrow choke point. And it's one of the most powerful positions for a Mei to wall off. Is the top, it's basically the top of Hanamura, because it basically just shuts off the entire attack. There is the Transcendence from Gel to keep everybody up and running, and there is the Transcendence in tow from MAWF. Self-destruct up from Dio, gets his counterpart in Psycho, and that is MAWF Black saying with authority, stay off of our lawn, we will run right through you. And despite Yifeng doing her best efforts as the Ashe, it was looking rather grim, but then Xeno jumped in like a monkey in shining armor and swatted away the threat of MAWF Black. So Sandfraggers are hanging on, but it took a lot of work, and there is a small prize for MAWF Black. They got a third.
Absolutely, they do manage to get that third, but it is going to take a lot more effort for them to keep on getting that. Now that this composition is starting to get a little bit more online here for Sandfraggers. Yifeng on the Ashe does finally have Bob available as we see them going straight through it. We've been seeing these great bio-nades coming out from Mighty Boy, just really just negating a lot of what this composition wants to be doing, and we're seeing it time and time again. As we do see the reset here from MAWF Black, just not wanting, realizing they've already lost a couple of members, don't need to drag that out any longer. But yeah, these bio-nades just completely shutting down all of the sustain and allowing all the damage to start rolling its way through.
Yes, and not only that, like you said, with the damage over time from the dynamite from Ashe, that it really hurts, especially when you were debuffed by the Ashe. And as you did say, Bob is ready to make an appearance and do something. Whatever that something is, that remains to be seen. And looking at all the members of MAWF Black all bunched up, and then the rally will be called to arms, and then the Graviton Surge will go out on towards the members of Sandfraggers, and it's looking a little bit better for the members of MAWF Black to finally break into this point, but right back. Look at that. Yeah,
it looked alright, but then the great zone controller with that Blizzard and the rest of the ultimates started coming through from the defense. And yeah, it started out really nicely for the side of MAWF Black. They dove the supports, managed to take them down, but then they didn't really have much left. And they just got picked apart by those ultimates being dropped right on top of them from the rest of the defense. And now we have to see how they come in for this next charge. They do have some to work with. Dio can split up some, or open up some space with the Mech Explosion. Likewise with Frosty Heart with the Earth Shatter. But on the other side, we have some good ultimates, some good defensive ultimates to be working with.
And looking at the war chest that the members of MAWF Black do have there, and they can make a decent go, but there's the big Earth Shatter, and Bob's come to make an appearance, and his Shadow boosted the boot. And there is the self-destruct there, but the Mecha Pilot will not be able to come back. And well, Bob did something, and the rest of the Sandfraggers did too. They will sound the bell. And like you said, the 6 minutes and 45 that they started off with, Sandfraggers have chewed through over 4 minutes of that now, moving into 2 minutes.
They are starting to run out of time and running out of chances to really make a dent on that point, and they are starting to change up their composition, realizing that what the Sandfraggers have put up is really, really doing work on that Ghost composition. And now they're going with a bit more of a dive composition, and they do manage to take down Yifeng right off the bat. Nicely done, but they do end up trading back the Tracer. I'm not sure they'll be too happy to keep on pushing through, especially with Lemons for me just essentially playing guard duty right at the front door. You don't want to walk straight into that Mei. That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, do not annoy the bouncer, because they will flex their authority if they are provoked. And looking at Sandfraggers, expect the snowball to come out too, and a big wall off to the rest of the comrades. There is the sound barrier onto the members of MAWF Black, and just to keep everybody away, the snowball will go down, and it looked good in the opening break for the members of MAWF Black, but it looks like the big angry ape of Xeno will force the attackers back, and we are bled down to the final minute. And MAWF Black, ooh, you're basically gonna have to cross your heart and hope that everything falls into place, because it is all over the shop for them.
Yeah, they did manage to get like an extra, what, 5% on the point, so that's pushed that ticket just the slightest bit further, but that is little consolation for how much time they have had to work at this. And now coming into this final, what is likely to be their final push, as we see another Bionade. Just look at those blinking health bars. It's not very healthy there, not very happy about getting hit by one of those. But look at the ultimates coming through, as here comes the Nano Blade right onto the back line, but a great Transcendence just completely denies that. Genji trying to get away, but gets shut down by Psycho on that Diva. Really good start, and now this defense is just digging in their heels. They have all the tools at their disposal, and they are just cleaning up this offense.
Offense? What offense? We just basically shut them out. But the small consolation there is that there was almost a second third accrued for the side of MAWF Black, but it is not enough. We will be 1-0 at the change, and all that the Sandfraggers have to do is match 64% flat on the second point.
It's one of those targets where it seems very manageable, but then you start running into that brick wall time and time again, just as we saw MAWF Black doing, and a little bit of doubt can start to creep into your mind should you lose one or two fights, and then it's like, well, we surely are going to be able to get it right. And especially with that second point on Hanamura, if you're not able to get that first tick, and you start to lose a minute here and there, it can really play on the mentality of the team.
Yeah, it's basically the frustration of trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. Like, it's not coming together. And
it's like, it's not that hard. It's like the theory is all there. It's just put it into practice, letting the execution really just flow through. But sometimes it just doesn't necessarily pull through, and we'll have to see how both sides are going to come in, and which team is going to secure the map advantage going into the fourth one.
And looks like Blur has decided to go with the Sombra B, the recon, and try and call out what is on the table for the side of the Sandfraggers. And there we go. And oh, we're seeing a Symmetra for an initial teleport. Will Yifeng change back? Yeah, Yifeng's going to change, but that's actually kind of interesting. Just get the upper hand onto the rest of the opposition. It looks like we've gotten a full. That was actually an interesting way to do a recon run, I feel.
Yeah, just get a little bit of information, a little bit more information than what you would usually get from just using the Sombra, and now we have them just coming straight onto the point, just barreling right through, using essentially the Ghost composition, the McCree style, and there's absolutely nothing that this defense can do. They've got the rather squishy dive style here from MAWF Black, and they just get completely rolled over.
Emphasis on the squishy. They just got squashed like grapes, like a big white out of that. A 7-minute time bank, and I know we emphasized it before and it did not come to fruition, but Sandfraggers are well and truly equipped to basically
They're already
snowball.
at the point.
They're already there. They're at the front door. Surprise!
Yeah, the main wall was not there in time to just split apart that offense. They do have people on the point, but Yifeng with the flashbang, and now with the Dead just take down 3, and they are just not showing any mercy at this stage here on Hanamura, and they are going to just shut this out before it even really started.
It's Yifeng time. He basically just said the time and told them all, take a seat right over there. And that is the definition pure and simple of a snowball effect. And that was so quick. We couldn't even keep up, Phoenix. That was wild.
Absolutely, and all started from that flashbang right over the shield of that Reinhardt, and then just takes him down, and then at that point, you are just free to fire away. And yeah, that's one way to really stamp your authority over a series. Yifeng doing so much work on that DPS role. It was looking like Morph Black was in a reasonable position, and then they just got completely rolled over on point A. Wasn't even close.
No.
And then point B, again, it just wasn't even close. Sandfraggers just completely had Morph Black's number. And now we're going into map 4, and Sandfraggers is looking to end it right here.
And momentum is a thing in a lot of games and a lot of sports, and I think that the Sandfraggers, off of an effort like that, like, they made it look so clean. They might keep that going, and it could be a very short day and a quick ticket to the next round of this bracket.
Quick ticket for both these teams, to be quite honest. I mean, not the necessarily ticket you want if you're on the losing end, but it does keep things rolling rather quickly. But we are now on Numbani. We don't get to see any fancy Blizzard World shenanigans, but we do get to see Numbani yet again. I'm very interested to see if Morph Black are going to be able to bounce back, because that has got to be a little bit demoralizing to just be completely rolled over like that.
Oh yeah, but it will be a true test of the resolve of the team as to whether they can sort of get themselves back in the fight. It's essentially like a boxer or a fighter that gets a bit clocked by a stray move or just a rough round in general.
That was not a stray move. That was just a clear king hit.
Yeah, but too bad. But according to the sanction, it's legal. So that's all we have to say about that. But well, in a way, to continue the analogy, that was a sweet science there from the Sandfraggers, and the definition of just setting the snowball up and just watching it roll down the hill and roll over anything in its path. And we're counting down the final 10 seconds before the gates drop, and Morph Black will be fighting to keep themselves in the series, and they're going to be diving onto the opportunity.
Yeah, they also are bringing out the pharmacy, trying to get some of that aerial superiority. But on the other side, there is going to be, interestingly enough, the Torbjorn and also Yifeng again on the Ashe. So wanted to get a little bit more range, and now that they see that the Pharah is going to be coming in from a distance, they're going to be a little bit more happy to have that Ashe in their pocket.
Something to keep the aerial attackers at an arm's length. And just on this first engagement, it's looking a little bit tit for tat, but a big crit onto the Winston. Yifeng definitely making a presence felt, but Flirt will get rid of Moe, and now Yifeng doing a lot of the heavy lifting with Lemons for me in tow. This defense is holding extremely strong for now, and well, the simple thing is that Ashe.
Absolutely. I mean, Yifeng has been doing so much work.
Oh.
Really, nicely done there from Jasper Jam, managing to catch out Yifeng on the back line. We've been seeing this Sombra just sticking around, being a nuisance here, there, and everywhere. Sandfraggers have an idea that the Sombra was around, but we're not able to completely finish him off as they were distracted with the rest of the fight. And now, Morph Black are making their way towards the point. There aren't too many members there for the defense on the point themselves, and they do manage to take down the Torbjorn, and they get a little bit of time on the point, but here comes Bob onto the point that is trading kills back and forth, and it looks like this defense is going to be able to hold on here for just a little bit longer, thanks to Bob and his, well, I guess we could say his beefing is really helping out in that state to at least stall out the capture of the point and allow the rest of his defense to really just secure a lot of his kills.
Yes, and completely nullifying the nano boosted Winston there too, which is a lot of investment from the side of Gel and Frosty Hard. They sadly could not get that to fall in their favor, and now Morph Black is still wanting to get their way in, and now Jasper Jam is just basically doing the stick and move as a Sombra, and well, that's a real annoying pest that you have to deal with as a defender. And if if the cards fall right, they just get distracted at the wrong time. They could be completely blindsided by the next attack if everything goes right.
Yeah, and they do have that EMP, but they'll want to have something big to follow it up with. The TNT does end up getting detonated onto Dio. He's going to be completely fine as they do jump in onto the back line, but they do have ultimates getting thrown left, right, and center as Gel is going to be the first one to go down yet again. They do manage to take down the Mercy, but have to see how the rest of this fight is going to go. It looks like the kill feed is starting to go more in favor of the defense yet again, as Bob is just going to force away everyone else. As this offense is trying to get things done, they do get some nice dives, but it leaves the rest of the team just high and dry, and well, Sandfraggers are just completely capitalizing on any mispositioning.
And that is not something that you want to be punished for. And another good thing to note, oh, well, not anymore. Lemons for me has been railed and taken off of the table. And that is a big ultimate out of the fight because he had the molten core already, but the turret's still up.
Oh, another kill going over to Jasper Jam, doing a lot of work in his back line, but the rest of the team needs to be able to get some advantages out of that. Xeno is just slapping people away with that Primal Rage, as they are just... It looked like it was going to be a good situation for MAWF Black, but then all of a sudden Xeno was like, you know what? Nah, not about that. I'm just going to just completely just wipe out everyone who's trying to take this point from us, and now we're back to essentially square zero as we have 5 seconds left. They need to be able to get to the point. They do have someone there, but here comes all of that goo is just everywhere. Lemons for me is just sprayed everywhere. There's just nowhere you want to be standing if you are MAWF Black, and they are just dying to get to this point, figuratively and literally, as they are not going to be able to get anything here on this attack.
No, not at all. That is a complete shutout domination for the Sandfraggers, and I will not trust Lemons for me with my drinks after that. I think it just spilled them everywhere. But in any case,
it was just all over the floor.
That's going to be a real pain to clean up. But speaking of cleaning up, that's exactly what Sandfraggers did. MAWF Black just could not break through that defense. It was built tough, and I give Jasper Jam a ton of credit for at least cutting it close for a couple of big spells there, chewing through a lot of the defense and just making it a little bit more viable for the rest of the comrades to jump onto the point. But sadly, it just seemed a little bit out of sync for MAWF Black, and that could be a tale that could be told throughout this bracket.
Yeah, it's just, like, as you mentioned, Jasper Jam doing some decent work, getting some kills here and there on the backline, took Efang down a couple of times, managed to take down Lemons for me as well, at some really good moments, which could have allowed the rest of MAWF Black to move on to the point and secure some advantages. But as you mentioned, it seemed a little bit out of sync. They weren't able to really make the most of the space that Jasper Jam was giving them, and now in this situation where they very much need to hold on to this point. They need to do exactly what was done to them. They need to full hold, or that is just going to be the series done and dusted.
Yeah, put up the wall, and then a wall in front of that, and then maybe even a wall in front of that, just to be safe. Because this is the upper bracket life for MAWF Black, and well, it's only going to get harder if you get dropped down to the lower side. Now the gates are down, and well, we see a Symmetra briefly from Yifeng. Let's see if that gets stuck with. No, it's back on the McCree. Oh, Yifeng. Oh boy, MAWF Black better be running scared because of this. But Jasper Jam will just disallow Lemons for me from moving any further. So that's a good start from MAWF Black.
Yeah, it seemed like Lemons for me was just going for a bit of a scouting. A little bit of a very involved scout. Not really too worried about getting himself taken out. He did get a lot of information of the composition that they're running into and also the positioning around the point, and now they are just walking through with the same composition that we saw them run on that first point of Hanamura on their attack, and they're just moving down onto the point, daring this defense to contest them. And so far, they are actually doing quite nicely. Blow does manage to get taken down, but MAWF is going to fall as well. And so far, the ticking has kind of ceased, but they have to keep this fight going for as long as possible. The Nano Boost does go down onto the Winston, and they're doing a nice amount of damage, but they have to keep this up. But Yifang does manage to get a kill, and it looks like the kills are starting to go over to the side of the Sandfraggers, and they're starting to lose people on this defense.
It's going tit for tat, and usually you would give it to the attackers, but for now, Lemons for me and the Rocket Flail are really letting it go, and they shattered that defense for just long enough to roll over the other side of MAWF Black. It'll be 3-1 to the Sandfraggers, and they move on to the next round.
Yeah, really nicely done from them. It was a little bit back and forth, especially towards the earlier part of this series, but once we hit Hanamura, it was just a completely just next level there from the Sandfraggers, and MAWF Black they really could not keep up.
No, well, as soon as you put the car into high gear, you either have to keep up or you just get trailed and left in the dust. And as soon as Sandfraggers kicked up that tempo and that speed, it was just a tale of two different classes. One of them was an elite sprinter, and one of them was a marathon runner, or not even that.
Yeah, and although like MAWF Black had some moments where they looked really, really good. That second map of the Dorado, we saw some really solid defense, solid team communication, and solid team fighting. But beyond that, there was a lot of parts where they were struggling. We saw a little bit of missed synergies, some desync in some of the plays. But also, we just have to give a lot of credit over to the Sandfraggers. They have an incredible lineup, and they're just playing so well.
Yeah, and there were plenty of good showings between the entire squad. They're an entire unit. But for now, with that set done and dusted, Sandfraggers will advance in the upper bracket. MAWF Black, it's not over for them yet. They go to the lower side, but we shall be taking a break to regroup ourselves and find out what the next match will be on stream. You're watching the Open Division for Overwatch on CappingTV. My name is Cyberwaste, and I am joined by Mr. GL Phoenix and his wonderful beard. We'll be back very shortly.